Yes. And Riz, we asked a Survey Wednesday question roughly around the beginning of the year. And we asked biggest concern headed into the season. And I said agendas.
And there were agendas.
And only now have we really seen it play out that the agenda for whether it be Flacco, whether it be Pickett, whether it be Gabriel, whoever wanted to be smarter and right ended up being wrong.
My initial thought was, wow, that was big Alima. Like, he didn't have to concede all of that right then and there. And while admitting basically that he just fell victim to the idea that the Browns were pushing him all sorts of information, and like a sucker at the poker table, he was buying it. Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm shocked he did that. Behind the scenes about Shedeur's lack of development and all this other stuff, and that it was hogwash. And meanwhile, I was getting shouted down by people like Lima who were telling me, no, you're not talking to the right people. Everyone that's there says he can't even do anything, can't even hold a football. It's like, no, guys, he can. He was really good in college. I'm telling you, this is going to translate. But to have the admittance there that you just...
Yes, and Risen. We asked a Survey Wednesday question roughly around the beginning of the year, and we asked biggest concern headed into the season, and I said agendas, and now we finally know the truth about what Shedeur Sanders was up against this whole time. So, don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Nah, this is the part they don't want you to sit with. Because the second you hear that word, agendas, coming out of an insider's mouth, on air, on the record, it changes the whole story. It's not Twitter noise anymore. It's not fans being dramatic. It's not people reaching. This is somebody close enough to the building to know how the sausage gets made, basically saying what a lot of us have been feeling all season. Something was off from the jump. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not even shocked. I'm angry. I'm validated. I'm that kind of locked in where you almost start laughing because it's like, oh, so we weren't crazy. We weren't biased. We weren't emotional. We weren't just Dion fans or just riding a last name. Nah. We were watching the same reps, the same clips, the same practice notes, the same little hints leak out week after week, and we kept asking the same question. Why does none of this match? Because that's what gaslighting looks like in the NFL. They'll tell you a guy isn't ready while he's making throws in camp. They'll tell you he's raw while he's reading defenses. They'll tell you he needs time while they're giving reps to somebody who's clearly not separating from the pack. And if you say anything, if you challenge it, they hit you with the same lines. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You're not in the building. You're not at practice. Like you're some idiot for trusting your eyes. But now, the people who are in the building are basically admitting the quiet part out loud. They're saying there were agendas, multiple, like it was a whole chessboard. And that's the real bombshell here. Because agendas aren't accidents. An agenda means intent. An agenda means somebody decided the story before the season even started, and then spent weeks, months, trying to force reality to bend around that decision. And that's why this moment feels so big. Because it's not just, oh, the coach made a mistake. It's not, he picked the wrong guy. This is about control. This is about ego. This is about people wanting to be right more than they wanted the team to win. And the wildest part? The mask didn't slip because fans complained. The mask slipped because the results got too loud to ignore. Because eventually, football exposes you. Eventually, the truth hits the field. So, when I hear insiders calling it what it is, a confession, on the record, I don't feel surprised. I feel like the last puzzle piece just snapped into place. And now we've got to ask the question nobody wanted to ask earlier, the one that makes everybody uncomfortable. Because if this was really about performance, none of this would make sense. This is where the story really starts to fall apart, because once you line the football up with the decisions, nothing adds up. I remember training camp. I remember the buzz. Every single day there were little breadcrumbs, clips leaking out, practice notes, quiet mentions of accuracy, timing, command. You didn't have to be a scout to feel it. You could hear it in the way people talked almost reluctantly, like, yeah, he looked good again today. And every time that happened, fans leaned in thinking, okay, maybe this is changing. But then you'd look at the depth chart, and there he was, still buried, fourth string, no reps, no path, no explanation that actually made sense. And that's when the gaslighting really kicked in. Because instead of acknowledging what people were seeing, the talking points got louder. He's developing. They want to protect him. It's a long-term plan. Like we hadn't watched this league long enough to know how this works. Since when does the NFL redshirt the guy who's outperforming people in practice? Since when does a team obsessed with quarterback stability say, nah, we don't want to see this in games yet? How does that happen? How does a quarterback consistently stack good days in camp, flash arm talent, show poise, and still get leapfrogged by guys who aren't separating? How does he keep checking boxes while the explanation keeps changing? First, it's he's raw. Then it's he's not ready. Then it's he needs time. And none of it lines up with what's happening on the field. That's the part that messed with fans the most. Not that he wasn't playing, but that the story around why kept shifting. The evidence stayed the same. The explanation didn't. And every time someone pointed that out, they were told to calm down, to trust the process, to stop reading into it. But football isn't abstract. It's reps, it's throws, it's timing, it's ball placement. And when you're seeing one thing with your eyes and hearing something completely different from the podium, your instincts start screaming that something's wrong. We've seen this before. Think Jalen Hurts early on. Think guys who were projects, until suddenly they weren't. The difference is, usually when a player plays well, the depth chart adjusts. That's how merit is supposed to work. So, why didn't it here? Why did the data say one thing while the decisions said another? Why did performance feel irrelevant? Why did it feel like the outcome was already decided before camp even started? That's when it hit a lot of people this wasn't about patience. This wasn't about development. This was about control. This is where it gets uncomfortable because this is the part of the NFL nobody likes to admit out loud. Narratives don't just happen. They're built, carefully, quietly, repeated until they feel like truth. It always starts the same way. An anonymous quote, people in the building feel like, or sources say. And just like that, perception shifts. Not because anyone showed you tape, not because the numbers changed, but because someone with power whispered something into the right microphone. And once that message gets out, everybody else falls in line. That's how "he's not ready" becomes the safest phrase in football. Because not ready doesn't actually mean anything. It's flexible. It can mean mechanically raw. It can mean mentally slow. It can mean we don't trust him. Or, and this is the one nobody wants to say, it can mean we never wanted him in the first place. But instead of saying that, instead of owning that bias, they hide behind development language and let the media do the rest. And the media plays along. Not always maliciously, sometimes it's survival. Access matters. Relationships matter. You don't want to be the one asking the wrong questions and suddenly you're cut off. So, the same talking point gets repeated, day after day, segment after segment, and eventually, opinion turns into consensus. Consensus turns into fact. Now, the player's boxed in, because how does he fight a story he can't respond to? He can't leak his side. He can't jump on a podium and say, they don't believe in me. So he does what young players are told to do: keep your head down, work. Be professional, stay quiet. And that silence, that gets twisted too. Now it's, he's not vocal enough. Or, he's disengaged. Or, maybe he doesn't want it. You see how nasty that is? Confidence starts to erode. Motivation gets tested. Every rep feels heavier because you're not just competing, you're trying to break through a wall that wasn't built by football. And once a label sticks in this league, it's brutal. Coaches coach you through it. Media frames you through it. Fans start arguing about you through it. We've seen careers stall like this. We've seen guys lose years fighting ghosts instead of defenses. And the craziest part? Once the narrative takes hold, performance almost doesn't matter anymore until it absolutely does. Until you force the issue so loudly on the field that they can't hide behind words anymore. Because at the end of the day, this wasn't just about playing time. They didn't just bench him, they boxed him into a story he didn't write. And then it finally happened the moment everything collided. Not the apology, not the press conference, not the media victory lap, the opportunity. The one thing he'd been denied all along. And the crazy part? The second it showed up, you could tell immediately this wasn't a guy hoping to survive. This was a guy who had been waiting. Because poise jumps off the screen. You can't fake it. You can't coach it in a week. When the pocket tightens, when the play breaks down, when the moment gets loud, that's when you find out who's actually built for this. And from the first drive, you could see it. Calm feet. Eyes downfield. No panic. No rushing throws just to get rid of the ball. He wasn't playing like someone grateful for a chance. He was playing like someone who expected it. That's when it clicked for a lot of fans. Oh, he was ready. And not just ready in theory. Ready because he'd been living in it. Ready because every rep he didn't get turned into fuel. Ready because when you spend weeks being told you're not good enough, you either break or you sharpen. And he sharpened. You saw it in the details. The way he commanded the huddle. The way teammates responded to him immediately. The way receivers trusted the ball to be there before they even turned around. That's leadership. Not the loud, manufactured kind. The kind that shows up when it's real football and real consequences. And here's the thing nobody wants to admit now. This wasn't luck. This wasn't some random hot stretch. This was inevitable. When preparation finally meets opportunity, the truth comes out. Every time. He was ready. He stayed ready. And when the door finally cracked open, he proved it. That's why the narrative flipped so fast. Not because anyone changed their mind. Not because insiders suddenly grew a conscience. But because the excuses ran out. You can't say not ready when he's making reads. You can't say needs development when he's operating the offense. You can't hide behind buzzwords when the tape is screaming. And that's the most dangerous version of any player, the one who's already been buried and survived it. Because once you've played with nothing to lose, once you've been doubted publicly and still come out standing, you don't play scared anymore. You play free. You play sharp. You play like someone who knows exactly what was almost taken from them. And that's when you realize the league didn't just wake him up. They unleashed him. This is where it stops being about one game, because moments like this don't exist in a vacuum. This is a fork in the road. For the player, this is the moment everything changes. Not because he finally got a chance, but because he showed exactly what happens when preparation meets real NFL pressure. This is how careers turn. This is how a guy goes from question mark to we might actually have something here. From now on, every rep matters more. Every week is a test. And the expectations, they're different now. You're not proving you belong anymore. You're proving how high the ceiling really is. But this moment isn't just about him. It's about the organization too. Because now the spotlight flips. Now the questions aren't about development, they're about evaluation, about trust, about why it took so long for reality to catch up with what was already there. This is where teams either grow or double down. One path leads to accountability, honest reflection, adjustments. The other path exposes something deeper, stubbornness, ego, dysfunction that keeps repeating itself no matter who's under center. And fans feel that tension immediately. Because you know what you saw, you felt it, you recognized it, that spark, that command, that edge. And now the question becomes simple. Are they going to lean into it or fight it? Here's what I believe. I believe this player's future just cracked wide open. I believe we're watching the early chapters of something that's only going to get louder, sharper, and more undeniable. I believe defenses are about to start game planning differently. I believe teammates already feel it. And I believe the league is paying attention whether they want to admit it or not. We've seen this movie before. Once talent forces the truth out, there's no putting it back in the box. So, to the fans, stay loud, stay locked in, keep asking questions, keep trusting what your eyes tell you. This is why we watch. This is why we care. Not for the narratives, but for moments when reality cuts straight through them. Because at the end of the day, this story already told us the lesson. The agenda didn't win. The work did. And now the journey really begins. So, I want to hear from you. Where do you think this goes next? Was this the turning point? Or just the first warning shot? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Debate it, argue it, believe in it. Because this isn't over. It's just getting started.